And welcome back to Seventh Circle Gaming. Today on the channel, we're going to be discussing Field of Glory Empires. And we'll get started here very quickly, as we always do, with disclosures. Again, pause the video and read these more closely at your leisure, because we're going to move right along to Immersion. The game has earned a 6 out of 15 for Immersion. And the main things that the game seems to want to do to immerse players into the game world are statistics focused and presentation, with challenge coming in third. Each faction has unique starting conditions and unique difficulties that they need to overcome. The presentation of the game is top down. On the other hand, units don't seem to have a very unique look or appearance. Buildings don't seem to be terribly unique in appearance, although they do have unique names. And the game does present players with some difficult decisions and some very alarming sounding decisions, which are going to pull players into the game world fairly quickly. So, with that said, we're going to move on because I do have a little screenshot to show you that was not terribly easy to gather from this particular game. It's one of the factions that we did try in the game, the Burgundy. And it's one of the more challenging factions according to the game's logic. And this is the reason we're showing this off is basically, well, this is what the game world is going to look like. And this is what the user interface is going to look like. Mousing over a particular region is going to show some statistics about it. Mousing over or clicking on a faction army is going to show some statistics about it that players are going to want to examine and analyze. There's a couple of other map modes, and there really isn't anything much more to say about Immersion. So let's move on to difficulty. So, yeah, difficulty. Yeah, this is the game is earned a 1 out of 15 for difficulty. And the tutorial, such as it is for the game, is primarily YouTube videos, not all that different from this one. And the difficulty options to tailor the game are minimal. And the descriptions, such as we were able to determine, are not terribly complete, as a player might necessarily like to see. So, the less difficulty, the better. Let's move on to Lasting Appeal. The game is earning a 5 out of 15 for Lasting Appeal. It does have some downloadable content available, and there doesn't seem to be mod support, although that doesn't mean that there aren't mods available, and it would require some additional manipulation of directories. It's possible. On the other hand, with what is included in the game, the content seems fairly limited. There's the military-focused campaign and the larger grand campaign, which increases the number of playable factions. There are, as we just said, different factions to try with different starting conditions, different difficulties, and that can really keep players coming back to the game, especially players that have some familiarity or some interest in this sort of Roman, Spartan, Macedonian period of history. And that's really all that there is to say about Lasting Appeal. Let's move on. And that's going to bring us around to the final analysis. The game has earned an average score of 4 out of 15. And we are going to caveat everything that is said from this point on with massive handfuls of salt. I would suggest personally starting out with Ireland. The remoteness of the region and the ease of conquest of the other factions does make it a very good starting point, especially for considering the limited tutorials and the learn as you go style that the game seems to evince. So there really honestly isn't anything more to say about Field of Empires. Players that are interested in the sort of just jump into the game and see what happens are likely to find this one particularly interesting. And players that appreciate more of a complete tutorial, maybe not so much. And honestly, that's all there is to say about Field of Glory Empires without getting overly subjective or uh, anything else being overly negative, and really do not try to do that. So, do the other YouTube things, please suggest a game in the comments section below. Speaking of comments, have you tried Field of Glory? Have you tried it with the add-on software? Let me know, and